The thing that really impresses me is the fact of the ease of, there's no learning curve to this. There's practically, if you can press a button and focus your thoughts on a particular outcome for a few seconds as you press that button, that's it. You're done. That's all you got to do. There's no major learning curve where you got to learn how to do a stick, or and you're worried about these knobs. What order do you turn the knobs? And do I have a stick? How long will this have to wait, or whatever? For these machines to actually do their jobs. Well, yes, that is part of the learning curve. But with this, you stick it in your pocket. I mean, heck, I could teach anybody how to use this thing in less than a minute. Whenever I teach somebody how to use a wishing machine, we're looking at maybe 15 minutes to a half an hour minimum, just kind of getting them to get the feel of the system. This right here is self-contained. You are the power station. It's just a matter of pressing a button and focusing your intent.
You and I will talk off the air, but I think that, we have so many emails coming in that I think that maybe we should work with Mobius to set up a private online group for people who have these, where we can all talk about our experiences and share tips. And it's just cool to hear about these experiences people are having. And literally, because it's a stealth, handheld, portable Tepaphone society. And that's a mouthful, but it tells you what it is.
Yes. And because of the simplicity of use, that means you have more and more people that come into the fold. And what I love about this is the beauty behind radionics is it gives you your power back. And what greater example is there of having this little black box, pressing a button and making things happen that normally would not happen, making things become a part of your reality that you want to become that you want to happen. What better way of proving that you have the power to control your life?
Right now, if you go to strangethingspromos.com, there should be information about this device, as well as videos that show you how easy it is to use. There should also be a link at joshuapwarren.com in the Curiosity Shop. And, the thing is, I understand that people may think, well, I could sit here and just make up whatever story I want to. But you and I have been friends for a very long time. And you know that when I credibility to be as strong as possible. People may think I'm a wacko just because of the stuff that I do, but I have the proof for what I told you last night, and I hope you can see why that I wanted to tell you, why I wanted to tell you here while we were recording. And like I say, I'm tired, I'm sleep deprived. You can see why I didn't want to stop. I was like, how far can this go? But I will definitely be bringing this with me the next time I go to do anything really, but especially to the casino. So what are some of your final thoughts on this technology, Dr. Mulder?
Well, I've been working with radionics for almost 15 years. And by the way, it's almost 15 years ago to the day. I think it was like the first week of January when you did the Wishing Machine webinar. I was one of the lucky guys to sign up for that. And that night changed my life forever. You introduced me to a lot of things I was not aware of. I was able, because of that webinar, I was able to look into other materials that were out, that were available, and even talk to operators in the world because of that webinar. It changed my life forever. And Josh, it's just almost 15 years ago to this day is when this happened.
Well, it was obviously destined to be. It was some divine that we got to come together and work on these things that have changed people's lives. That's a bold thing to say, but we get the emails every day from grateful people. And also, I want to point out here real quick, there is an input jack on the bottom of this device. I don't want to get into why that is here because it's a little bit too technical, but that will be explained in the videos on the page, how you use that and why you use that. So this thing can even be expanded and used for even broader radionics and psionics purposes, right?
Correct. And what I've done here is I try to make devices that are interchangeable or will work with any of my previous devices. I don't care if you have one of my first machines that I built and sold through wishingmachineproject.com or what have you. It doesn't make any difference. You will be able to use this technology, be able to integrate it with these machines. And that's what and that's what I'm looking at here. What I'm trying to do is, I think a lot of this technology I've taken as far as I can possibly take it, but what I'm trying to do is build other devices that you can utilize with existing equipment and not having to buy, shell out many dollars, start from scratch. You can take what you have already and integrate all these technologies in the future. And this is a fine example of that. And you're right, the jack, even though for you and I, it's a simple thing to understand the concept behind it, but for some people that are just new into the game, yes, they may have to look at the video and do their own, do a little bit of practice themselves to really be able to fully utilize what this thing's capable of doing.
All right. Well, once again, you've outdone yourself, Dr. Brad Mulder. Thank you, sir, for this invention, and thank you for being on the show.
It's been my pleasure, and don't forget to send me that check.
I'm getting amnesia all of a sudden.
I'm just joking with you.
Well, there you go, my friends. I think it might be time for me to retire. I'm just going to go hit the lotto now. I wish I'd had this device when the lotto was up to 1.7 billion. But anyway, listen to this. I got an email. Let's see, this comes from Elijah. Actually, this was sent to Dr. Mulder. Thank you so much, Dr. Mulder. He is using this device. He says it's even immediately showing effectiveness at keeping a certain dangerous dog close by in check. She acts extremely confused and disoriented when I aim it at her and has trouble keeping her balance. I can now feel safer in my own backyard, and so can my dog, and we appreciate you. Expect more business in the future from me. All the best. Again, that's from Elijah. When we come back from this break, I want to at least read a couple more of these emails to show you sort of some of the creative ways that people are using this thing. And then maybe I'll have some time to squeeze in some mental mana as well, which is sort of what I call trivia. And weird things that kind of happen and that I think are interesting that you might think is interesting as well. But, I guess I need to reiterate here in these final minutes of this particular segment, we have this idea of a manifestation device being something that you're setting up in a sacred spot, like an altar or, on your mantle or, some place where it's private. Maybe you have a little water fountain and you burn some candles and it's like a little temple. And that's wonderful. And that is how I've got that kind of stuff all over my house, all over my laboratory. But there's something really fresh and wild about having this thing in your pocket that you can use within seconds, just when you have a real situation unfolding before you in real time. And we are going to set up this society. I talked to Mobius already, and he's working on it. It's probably going to be based on Facebook, but I'll send out an e-newsletter. Stay tuned. I'm Joshua P. Warren. You're listening to Strange Things on the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network, and I will be right back.
Hi, I'm Sandra Shannon. Champlain. Please make sure and check out my show, Shades of the Afterlife, heard right here on the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network.
My name is Mark Robbins, president of ParanormalDate.com. Over 5 years ago, George Norrie approached me with a unique concept, a dating site for people searching for someone with interests in UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, conspiracy theories, and the paranormal. From that, ParanormalDate.com was born. It's a unique site for unique people, and it's free to join to look around. If you want to upgrade and enjoy more of our great features, use promo code GEORGE for a great discount. So check it out. You got nothing to lose. ParanormalDate.com.
You're listening to the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network with the best shows that explore the paranormal, supernatural, and the unexplained. You can enjoy all shows on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Edition of Strange Things on the iHeartRadio and Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. I am your host, Joshua P. Warren, and this is an email sent in from Pam. She was using the same device I've been talking about here, the stealth handheld portable Tepaphone created by Dr. Mulder. She says, I was driving back home alone one night, and there was very little traffic on the road except myself and one other vehicle who kept swerving into my lane. I slowed down thinking it might be a drunk driver or something like that, but he seemed like he was deliberately trying to run me off the road. Then he suddenly pulled into my lane and jammed on his brakes, and I could not avoid clipping him and ended up in a ditch. He jumped out of his truck and came towards me, gesticulating, screaming, and swearing. In that scary moment, I remembered that I had the device with me in my purse, and I pointed it toward him, and I intended over and over that he would get back in his truck, drive off, and leave me alone. At first, I thought it was not working, as he went to the back of the truck to retrieve something. He started toward me again, and then looked like he'd seen Bigfoot or something, and then he turned around and ran to his truck and sped off. Freaking scary moment for me, but simply amazed by this handheld device. Pam. Well, Pam, I'm glad that worked out for you, and maybe he thought you had a gun in your hand. But regardless, you got the result that you were looking for. Isn't that great, though? I mean, it's amazing to just have people say stuff like that. And of course, as I am speaking right now, if you want to learn more about this thing, you should be able to go to strangethingspromos.com. Stuff comes and goes from that page, but currently also, if you go to joshuapwarren.com, there should be a link to it in the curiosity shop that says, stealth portable handheld Tepaphone. One more, because this is actually really interesting, because this person has had a number of experiences. This comes from Nina. Nina says, here are some interesting results I've had with this handheld Tepaphone. Number one, I have had an issue with the check engine light for several months. I took it to the mechanic several times and was unable to resolve the issue. Now it is time to get a smog check, and it fails. So I took the handheld Tepaphone, pointed it at the car, and said, you will openly and easily reveal to the mechanic the accurate location of this problem so that it can be corrected and easily pass the smog test. Sure enough, the problem was solved. I took it back to have a retest, and it passed. Side note, the smog person asked me who the mechanic was. He did an excellent job. Nina goes on to say, number 2, I found about 17 mole or gopher mounds in my backyard. I used the handheld Tepaphone, pointed it at the backyard, and yelled, "You will stop this digging at once. Get out, get out, get out." I checked about 2 days later, and there were no new mounds found. And number 3, I pointed the handheld Tepaphone at myself and said, "You will set things in order." Well, I cleaned the kitchen in about 15 minutes, but the downside is it was about 2 a.m. in the morning. And exclamation. Thank you, Nina. Thank you all for these messages that keep coming in. That's the thing. It's like, I was talking to Dr. Mulder about this, and how, like, some people might say, well, hey, this is just a guy trying to sell something. Well, when an author comes on and talks about something, the author's trying to sell a book or whatever. But this would be a really, really bad business if it didn't work, right? I mean, imagine if everybody got one and said, this thing doesn't work. The point is it actually is working for people. But this show can't just be all rosy like that. You'll think I'm getting soft, maybe, if I don't at least bring up something negative, something bad. So here's another email I got that I just remembered I got this. I don't know. Hell, is it that bad? I don't know. This comes from a fella named Jim. He says, you may use my name. I think, it'd be okay if I used his last name, but I'm not going to, just because it's not necessary. Anyway, he says, I may have come to understand the event of the third trumpet. All right, so he's talking about Book of Revelations, the Bible here, I suppose. He says, in January of 2022, there was a huge volcanic eruption that occurred in the southern Pacific Ocean. Tons of salt water was raised up to 12 miles into our atmosphere. I imagine it slowly falling over the past almost 4 years. And sometime, maybe in a couple of years, it's going to reach a low enough elevation that gravity is going to have power enough so that it begins to rain down on us. Most of that salt water will end up in our rivers, reservoirs, and snowpacks. The canopy is not covering the earth completely, so only a third of Earth's land will be impacted. My belief is that North America, Great Britain, Western Europe, and Northern Europe contains the descendants of Jacob, and that means we will get the worst of it. And man, I feel really depressed now. I probably shouldn't have read that. How about this? Let's get back to, thank you, Jim. No, it's interesting, honestly. It is interesting to think about how we can sort of interpret these prophetic things with modern eyes. But reading that, it also reminded me of this thing that I wanted to bring up in terms of mental mana. You see, Lauren and I, we're middle-aged and we're geeks, and I know most people, for fun, when they're sitting around at home, they're probably playing video games or something. We play trivia, and we used to watch Jeopardy all the time, but we don't watch it as much anymore because it kind of seems like that. We're probably just getting more out of touch with what the hell's going on out there. But anyway, we like to play these trivia games, card games. I'm talking like 1800s technology. And so Lauren, she bought this new trivia game, and she asked me, what's the largest desert in the world? Now, of course, here I am living in a desert. I live in Las Vegas. I'm right down the road from Death Valley. There's a lot of kind of desert land around here. So I said, well, I suppose that would be the Sahara Desert. And she goes, nope. And I go, what? She goes, no. I was like, Jesus, maybe the Gobi Desert or something? Nope. Turns out, okay, well, do you know? Think about this. What is the largest desert in the world? Here's the answer. The largest desert in the world is the Antarctic Polar Desert, a vast icy expanse covering the continent of Antarctica, spanning about 5.5 million square miles. They say this is a cold desert defined by extremely low precipitation and not heat. But it's not even, the Sahara is not even number two. Number two is the Arctic Desert. And making polar regions the Earth's largest deserts. So they're saying like deserts are defined by receiving very little precipitation, like less than 10 inches per year, not by hot temperatures. Antarctica is extremely dry, making it the world's largest desert despite being covered in ice. Looks like the number 3 is the Sahara. That's a hot desert. I don't know. Did you know that? I'm going to be 50 years old this year, and I didn't know that. It's crazy. All right, well, the clock has got us, so it's time to wrap up the show. You know what that means. I created this thing called the Good Fortune Tone. It lasts about 20 seconds, and people have been listening to it for years, and they say that just listening to this improves the whole upcoming week. So let's listen to it together, okay? If you can, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Here is the Good Fortune Tone. That's it for this edition of the show. Follow me at Joshua P. Warren. Plus, visit joshuapwarren.com to sign up for my free e-newsletter to receive a free instant gift and check out the cool stuff in the Curiosity Shop, all at joshuapwarren.com. I have a fun one lined up for you next time, I promise. So please tell all your friends to subscribe to this show and to always remember the golden rule. Thank you for listening.